Herb. Herb is a plant. I mean, herbs are good for everything. Herb.
Welcome to Eugene Cannabis TV. You got Dank, your host, and we're on show 755. Can you believe that? Been at this for many years, a labor of love. And you can visit us too, by the way. We're behind the Sheldon High School in the Community Television 29 studios, right on the corner from KRVM FM. So Monday nights, except next week. I won't be here next week, but Monday nights at 5:30. Good time to come by and say hi, be on the show. If not, just stop in and visit and see how we do the show. And we could always use some help too, if you feel that way. So anyway, you jump in right in, and I got a story about Oregon's growing marijuana problem. None of us really thought it was a problem, I don't think, but according to the Capital Press opinion piece dated the 10th of August, their subtitle is, Oregon's marijuana law has created questions that have landed in the laps of the legislatures and the courts, which will be sorting through them until further notice. When Oregon voters approved an initiative to make marijuana legal under state law, but not federal law, they should have expected it to create as many questions as it answered, such as, the state may be able to regulate growers and sellers under the registration system, but how does it regulate the black market, which feeds off legal marijuana? How does the state prevent barely regulated medical marijuana growers from selling their extra production on the black market? How does the state reconcile federal law, which specifies that marijuana is illegal with the state law? Is marijuana production included in the state's right to farm law? Where do water rights and laws relating to water use start and stop for marijuana growers? For farmers, the last two questions are especially pertinent. Our guess is not many voters considered the right to farm and water use when casting their ballot for the ability to smoke pot. Now, those and other questions have landed in the laps of the legislature and the courts, which will be sorting through them until further notice, as I mentioned before. It's a great time to be a lawyer in Oregon. We were never fond of an initiative that would partially legalize recreational marijuana and partially regulate medical marijuana. The loopholes in that new law are big enough to drive a 1964 Volkswagen minibus painted with day-glow flowers through. In the meantime, 2,788 growers, processors, and sellers are taking a chance on recreational marijuana as a crop in Oregon. Multnomah County, which includes Portland, has 496 applications pending as of July 27th. Interestingly, Jackson and Josephine counties, with a combined population that's only 37% the size of Multnomah's, have 649 applications pending. One wonders whether that marijuana production is destined solely for the Eugene market. If you consider only producers, 685 are now licensed by the state, and more than 800 have applications pending. At $800 to $1,200 a pound on the market, marijuana will continue to attract a lot of interest among both legitimate operators and others who seek to take advantage of the loopholes in Oregon's poorly written law. If it isn't already, Oregon will soon be awash in marijuana. The state already grows about 5 times as much marijuana as can realistically be smoked here, according to Representative Carl Wilson, a Grants Pass Republican who is vice chairman of the Oregon Legislature Joint Committee on Marijuana Regulation. That leaves many Oregonians scratching their heads about the problem they created. The failure to properly regulate marijuana is further proof that the initiative process in Oregon is wide open to interesting concepts that lack the full venting the legislative process provides. The result is laws that will fail the public. So there you have it. It's an op-ed from the Capital Press in Salem, the agricultural probably the main paper in Oregon, and considering agricultural news. And they come out against agricultural product, yeah, basically. So it's interesting. For some of their points are a little flawed. One thing they talk about the lack of the full venting the legislative process provides. Yeah, let's talk about that mess. We have people that don't like marijuana or marijuana people, and it's clear, and they're working on the marijuana laws, and that's just the way it is. So let's jump into this other story real quick. This is a long one, but this is interesting. OHA director resigns after plan to plant negative stories uncovered. The subtitle plan supported by Saxton to influence the legislature by planting negative news about local nonprofit leads to her sudden resignation. Written by Nick Bundick, of the Portland Tribune, dated August 8th this year. The Oregon Health Authority, Lynn Saxton, has resigned in the wake of news of her involvement in a plan to influence the lawmakers by planting negative and misleading news about a local nonprofit health provider. The Portland Tribune on Thursday broke the news of a communication plan greeted approvingly by Saxton that talked of finding an HIV patient to complain about family care, then connect him or her off the record with local reporters. The plan called for spreading negative news using lawmakers and lobbyists from other organizations as intermediaries to disguise OHA's role and allow state officials to appear neutral. An email described the strategy as creating an information buzz in the state capital so lawmakers wouldn't intervene in a rate dispute between family care and the state. The sudden resignation, which was first reported earlier Tuesday evening by the Oregonian, came amid growing speculation in the healthcare industry over Saxton's future and questions about why Governor Kate Brown had not responded to the Tribune's reporting either before or after publication. Brown, however, answered those questions in a brief statement late Tuesday. Today, after discussion with Lynn Saxton, we have agreed that her resignation is in the best interest of the agency, Governor Brown said. Lynn has led the Oregon Health Authority through its most challenging times and helped me ensure that every Oregonian has access to the care they need. She is known as a fighter for Oregon's values, and I am proud of how she brought that level of commitment to the staff of OHA. Other announcements will be made during the regarding OHA membership leadership in the coming weeks, according to the statement. The communications plan was prepared as family care and state were doing battle in court over whether the OHA is giving family care a fair rate of reimbursement for its care of low-income Medicaid patients. Family Care is one of 16 coordinated care organizations, or CCOs, set up by state reforms to act much like insurance plans, or HMOs, to provide low-income patients with health care under Oregon Health Plan. Family Care has been the most vocal CCO, often accusing state officials of incompetence or seeking to do the nonprofit harm, including in the pending litigation. The communications plan called for getting reporters to write about family care and look for opportunities to hurt their credibility in the news. The goal was to portray the nonprofit as more concerned with the bottom line and increasing revenues than the health of Oregonians. It called for highlighting the group's profit margins. These margins appear larger than other CCOs, in large part due to Family Care's simple corporate structure. In reality, pretty much all of these CCOs have enjoyed large profits, in part due to an influx of young and healthy patients under the Obamacare law. However, the OHA communications plan did not call for providing that context. The Tribune obtained the plan after having to file a records appeal with the Oregon Department of Justice over OHA's refusal to release the plan. OHA then released more than 50 pages that had been improperly withheld. Officials at first dismissed the plan, claiming it was not fully implemented. Evolving talking points then said the plan was not implemented, then said it was shelved because it does not meet OHA values. The claims were at odds with a February 18th email in which Saxton greeted the most aggressive draft of the plan prepared by OHA in an improving manner. She replied to the plan saying she'd read it and there were some new developments that will build on the already good start you have outlined. News that Saxton had entertained a plan to manipulate the legislature using planted articles was just the latest in a series of questionable headlines around her tenure. Excuse me. In April, the Malheur Enterprise and the Oregonian covered an accused killer's story of tricking state employees into thinking he was mentally ill, as well as Saxton's response to seeking legislation to prevent release of the records that allowed that story to be told. In May, the Oregonian and other media covered OHA's payment of millions under Medicaid to people who were ineligible for the program. And in June, the Oregonian revealed serious problems and overruns in the enrollment technology that was supposed to succeed the failed $300 million Cover Oregon project. Following the Tribune's article publication last week, Saxton had appeared to be battling for her job. On Monday, she sent a letter of apology to the coordinated care organizations that serve Oregon Health Plan patients. The apology appeared to blame staff while distancing herself from any role in the planning. Saxton then echoed the letter in an email to staff a little after 2:30 p.m. Tuesday. It provided no hint of her imminent departure, reflecting that the choice was not hers. Like any organization, OHA is made up of people who make mistakes, or as our staff did when they were thinking out loud in the midst of an adversarial litigation process, she wrote. I regret this mistake and the way it reflects on our agency's mission and staff. However, we will learn from this experience and continue to advance professionalism throughout our culture. Hours later, shortly before 7 p.m., she sent another all-staff email announcing her resignation. After nearly 3 years leading the OHA, I wanted to let you know that I submitted my resignation to Governor Brown today. OHA has a vital mission to protect and improve the health of all Oregonians. Nothing should distract us from advancing that mission, because nothing is more important than the well-being of the people of our state. I decided that stepping down would give the OHA the best opportunity to stay focused on delivering the essential health services we provide to Oregonians and continuing to transform our health system to provide better care, better health, and lower costs. And just as a side note, Governor Kitzauer is the one that put her in office, so you can take that any way you want. That's just a fact. So anyway, that's the end of our first half. We'll be back with the second half with some more interesting articles and news. I remind you to come on down and see us at Eugene Cannabis TV. It's at Sheldon High School in the Community TV 29 studios. It's in the KRV building in behind Sheldon Studios. So I mean Sheldon High School. So we appreciate Sheldon High School's letting us use the facilities, and we appreciate the Community 29 TV group. So be right back.
And now a message from the American Marijuana Growers Association.
Hi, I'm a farmer, and I work hard every day to grow high-quality marijuana, the biggest cash crop in these United States. I'd like to thank you for your support of U.S. marijuana policy. Because marijuana is illegal, I don't have to pay taxes. Even better, prohibition leads to artificially inflated prices, which means a better quality of life for me and my family, as long as I don't get caught. Just as importantly, your tax dollars support thousands of U.S. agents who work tirelessly to keep low-grade, foreign marijuana out of our country. So thank you, America. And remember, whether you're nauseated from chemotherapy or just in the mood for a nice cool buzz, Choose the best pot in the world, American homegrown.
Welcome to the second half of episode 655, the Eugene Cannabis TV show. You got your host, Dank, and we're talking about news stories of things related to cannabis. This one here is on the national level, and an interesting article is in Politico, Politico.com, and titled Marijuana Politics Emerges as 2020 Flashpoint. It's written by Carla Marinucci, Marinucci, I guess he is, and dated on the 13th, actually, yesterday. Marijuana legalization just moved from the fringes of the last presidential campaign to center stage in 2020. Between a sweeping new package of legislation introduced last week by one of the top Democratic presidential prospects, and on the other end of the spectrum, Attorney General Jeff Sessions' vigorous opposition to the recreational use of marijuana, the debate over legalization of cannabis is about to receive a full airing on the presidential campaign trail. While Bernie Sanders also supported medical use of marijuana and the decriminalization of recreational marijuana, drug policy stayed on the outskirts of the 2016 presidential debate, and growing action at the state level was barely acknowledged. Tom Angel, chairman of Marijuana Majority, a bipartisan nonprofit advocacy group, said New Jersey Senator Cory Booker's introduction of the farthest-reaching bill ever proposed will have a catalytic effect on the politics of legalized marijuana and the myriad criminal justice issues related to it. Booker is getting a ton of fantastic press about this, he said, and other candidates will notice that and will want to say, I agree, and I want to introduce a bill of my own. Booker's rollout of the Marijuana Justice Act, introduced to a wide audience via Facebook Live, was more than just a call for legalizing marijuana at the federal level. The measure also addresses withholding federal funds for the construction of jails and prisons from states whose pot laws are shown to be disproportionately incarcerate minorities, expunging federal convictions for cannabis use, and mandating sentencing hearings for prisoners now serving time for pot offenses. You see these marijuana arrests happening so much in our country, targeting certain communities, poor communities, minority communities, targeting people with an illness, Booker, the former mayor of Newark, said. With the Republicans in control of the House and Senate, the ambitious legislation is viewed as unlikely to pass. But its attachment to a top prospective 2020 candidate and the growing action on marijuana legalization at the state level all but guarantees presidential contenders will need a fully formed position. Several possible Democratic presidential candidates, including Booker and New York Senator Christine Gillibrand, have already signed on to a separate bipartisan medical marijuana bill. In Massachusetts, where voters approved a ballot measure last year legalizing recreational marijuana, Senator Elizabeth Warren has addressed the issues of creating legal and secure banking for the cannabis industry. On the Republican side, Republican Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky has called for a repeal on the pot prohibition, making him popular with young libertarians, and won some conservative backing with his strong stand for states' rights on the issue. That's the same stance that was endorsed repeatedly by President Donald Trump, who also enthusiastically backed medical marijuana legalization on the campaign trail, though many cannabis advocates now worry about Sessions' hardline opposition. Booker's efforts has earned kudos from some of the forefront of the legal cannabis industry, like Jim Patterson, CEO of California-based Ease, which calls itself the nation's fastest-growing cannabis technology firm, one that boasts 20-minute home delivery services to medical marijuana patients in markets like San Francisco. We admire his bravery, Patterson said. He is taking a powerful stand, and we need more politicians who are willing to be bold. California-based we welcome Senator Booker's full call to action, said John Malanca, co-founder of the California-based United Patients Group, a national organization that specializes in promoting cannabis education for patients, doctors, and adult users. Malanca, who was recently invited to Capitol Hill by the recently formed bipartisan Congressional Cannabis Caucus to advocate for safety and quality issues, said the senator's move may now spark great opportunity for both parties to work together on something that has a groundswell of support. Yes, it is likely to force a fulsome debate over the marijuana issue in the run-up to the 2020 presidential election. Already in the two governor races on the ballot in 2017, New Jersey and Virginia, the Democratic nominees have staked out clear positions in favor of decriminalization. Polls clearly show that legal access to cannabis is the future, says Malanca. If you are against medical marijuana access or against cannabis legalization, you're already in the minority. A recent CB News poll tracked 61% support for legal cannabis, a 5% point bump up from last year, and the highest percentage ever recorded in the poll. And nearly 3/4 of Americans now support a states' rights approach, that states should be allowed to make the decision on legal pot sales, and oppose government moves to crack down in states that have legalized cannabis, the poll showed. After California officially became the largest legal cannabis market in the world last November with approval of Proposition 64, Nevada, a key western swing state, followed last month to become the 5th state to legalize recreational marijuana, recreational use of the drug. States are hungrily eyeing tax revenues from the cannabis market, where revenues topped $5.8 billion in 2016 and are expected to reach at least $17 billion by 2020, experts say. Willie Brown, the former California House Speaker and San Francisco mayor, who successfully carried one of the nation's first cannabis-related reform bills to decriminalize the drug in 1973, said the political climate has shifted markedly from the days when we couldn't talk legalization. Hell no. But he said Booker wasn't the first Democrat to understand how deeply the issue of legal recreational cannabis resonated, especially with millennial voters. Gavin Newsom was the first, he said, saying that the California Democratic lieutenant governor stepped out in front and backed legalization of recreational pot in the nation's most populous state nearly 2 years ago. Newsom's strong endorsement and campaigning helped pass Proposition 64 and set the stage for him to take the front-runner spot in the 2018 governor's race, Brown noted. In recent days, Newsom's rival Antonio Villaraigosa, the former Los Angeles mayor, has edged toward a more liberal stance, saying at a public forum that, quote, cannabis is going to be the new alcohol business, unquote. State Treasurer John Chiang, another California gubernatorial candidate, has been holding statewide hearings on cannabis banking issues. Even California Senator Kamala Harris, a former prosecutor, has taken a more cautious stand on the issue and is on board for marijuana decriminalization. Harris, a first-time senator who is frequently mentioned as a prospective presidential candidate in 2020, told a progressive group last month, "Well, I don't believe in legalizing all drugs. We need to do the smart thing, the right thing, and finally decriminalize marijuana." So that's it. They're moving in the right direction. It depends on what our legislature and what our lawmakers will do, I guess. And some of the comments are interesting. The first one is probably just great. There is no cogent argument against the legalization of marijuana. So, you know, that pretty well states it. It's hard to argue with that. Another lady wrote in, I've enjoyed the pleasurable benefits of marijuana for over 15 years now. It's a wonderful recreational drug when used in moderation. I've personally never understood the fight to keep drugs away from me at all costs. As of now, money is going into the wrong hands. Marijuana is stronger and easier to get than ever before, albeit much more expensive than it should be, and all that money is going back to the cartels. If you smoke casually from the black market, it will run you $100 a month. This is much more expensive than it needs to be. More expensive than my cell phone, $20 a month. Car insurance, $25 a month. It goes on. Would you rather put money into the hands of violent drugs and drug dealers, or into taxes for schools, hospitals, and public infrastructure, etc.? So that all gets good points. Some guy wrote, oh yeah, if for one thing the taxes, if for one thing the taxes the government receive is unaccountable, a little common sense can go a long way and help the economy while bringing down drug trafficking at our border. The problem's always what special interests will want to control the product for their own self-interest. Legal monopolies by big corporations will want their cut, and will make this really simple process into a huge, complicated mess. Another wrote, answered that and said, well, when I was in Washington in May, it was just local co-op growers. I didn't see that the behemoths such as R.J. Reynolds had invaded yet. So in other words, if we go down the road of full legalization, then it absolutely must be legal for a person to grow their own. And I think we pretty much agree on that one. So anyway, that's some of the way things are going, and I like to say we're moving forward. It seems like we're taking 3 steps forward and 2 back, but we are ultimately moving forward, I guess. So anyway, keep up the fight, and remember that even though it's legal is the war, the battle isn't over. So continue to fight for rights of people to use a plant. It's just simply a plant, and I like to say it's not just a plant, it's the plant. And so anyway, hope to see you in week after next. I'll be here. See you then.